Lewis Travis's name has popped up yet again for Derby County fans to feast their eyes on another transfer rumour. And this time it's not just coming from any old Tom, Dick or Harry, it's coming from Ed Dawes of BBC Radio Derby, who states that there are massive rumours regarding Lewis Travis at the moment. And to be fair, where are these rumours? Because I've not seen a single link, I've not seen a single article. All I've seen is some wannabe in the know accounts on Twitter putting his name and saying that it's a done deal to Derby County. Now, obviously, the deal could be close to being done. We don't know. But what we do know is that Lewis Travis has played for John Eustace before. He knows the system and he knows exactly what John Eustace needs. And that will be massive for Derby County heading into this championship season. And it could potentially spell the end of their time for Ben Osborne at Derby County. But will it be Lewis Travis to join Derby County? Or is this all just a minefield of fake rumours and travesty? Now, we're going to get into that within this video. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. But let's take a look. Now, obviously, BBC Radio Derby's Ed Dawes is obviously quite hot on the topic of Derby County and any sort of transfer news that comes out. And if I'm completely honest, they don't really discuss rumours unless there's sort of a nudge, essentially, to say that the deal is potentially being done. You go back to the weekend when they mentioned Trinitas from Sunderland and obviously Max Johnston from Sturm Graz. And it's one of those for me which is, it's a very, very interesting topic to follow. Now, Derby County over the course of the last couple of weeks have brought in David Ozo, brought in Ryan Brewster, which, don't get me wrong, I know Brewster doesn't play the same position, but ultimately Brewster can play in that 10 role, which drops Ebu Adams back. It puts Kenzo Heldmine in that deeper rolling position as well, which sort of closes the door, really. Now, if you look at Derby County's midfield area, we've got Liam Thompson, Ben Osborne, Ebu Adams, Kenzo Heldmine. You've got obviously David Ozo as well, and that's not including academy players who could step up over the course of the season. So if you're bringing in Lewis Travis, you've then got 6 players for 2 positions, when if you go into counter in that Andy Vyman is probably going to play as a number 10. Brewster might play as a 10. Yes, there's obviously the possibility that Kenzo Heldmine might push up and play as that 10 as well. But there's 6 players for 2 positions if Lewis Travis ends up signing. And for me, as much as I'd really like this deal for Lewis Travis to be legitimate and to be real, I just don't know how legitimate the links are, because there's nothing really there in regards to like an article that's Blackburn related or Derby related. There's nothing sort of being thrown about apart from what Ed Dawes said on Radio Derby regarding massive rumours, and obviously the in the know accounts that are putting out that it's a done deal pretty much. Now, obviously for Derby, there's a lot of areas in my opinion which need sorting before that role. For me, number 10, wide positions, and maybe right back are sort of where my sort of mind goes to. But ultimately, we're wanting to become a better football team, and Lewis Travis would make us a better football team. So I'm not going to turn around and act as if this deal is bad for Derby, because I don't necessarily believe it is. I do believe that adding Lewis Travis would be a good move. I've spoke about it already this transfer window in regards to Lewis Travis, because he's pretty much been linked since John Eustace moved to Derby County, similar to that of Tyrese Dolan. Callum Britton was added to the list. Obviously, Britton now gone to Middlesbrough for a fee within the region of £3.5 million. And it's one of those for me where obviously we're an easy link for John Eustace to sort of look at those players at Blackburn, all the good ones, and potentially bring them to Derby County. And we are quite clearly spending a decent chunk of money this summer. We've already spent, what, probably £10 million, really, if you want to be sort of completely honest about it. If we go and bring in Travis and bring in Johnston, you're looking at a bit more than that as well. So we are in sort of a fairly decent position in terms of spending, and we have spent quite well so far, and I do expect that to continue, because John Eustace as a manager knows what you need in the Championship. But the problem that we will have with bringing in a player like Lewis Travis is, does it push someone down the pecking order? Has he then got to earn his place? Like, what is actually the situation? Because for me, as much as Lewis Travis is great, obviously improves us, as I mentioned, but it's one of those where we've given Liam Thompson a new contract. He's going to get pushed down. Ben Osborne's still about. He's getting pushed down. Kenzo's probably been one of our best players across the course of pre-season. he'll probably get pushed down. You look then at, I don't think Ebro Adams would get pushed down, but you look at David Ozo, is he pushed down in that regard? Don't get me wrong, I'm all for strength in depth. I spoke about it a lot last year. We had a lot of strength in a starting 11, but we just didn't have the depth to go with it. And that's something that I think John Eustace is doing well this transfer window. You look at the right back position for starters, Niambi, Wilson, we're looking at bringing in Max Johnston, Jake Rooney can play in that position. You look at centre half, you've got Danny Bart, Matt Clark, Rooney can play there, Fozzie can play there, you've got Sondre Langas. So we've got really, really good options. Obviously, I've not even mentioned Curtis Nelson. At left back, we've got 3 options. So it's one of those where I completely understand why this move is potentially being made, and I'm all for having a lot of strength in depth, but it's just the legitimacy of the sources that I'm struggling to sort of come round to. And obviously, a lot of people will probably say in the comments, why are you discussing it when there's nothing sort of concrete, nothing set in stone? But for me, when it comes to Radio Derby, they sort of steer clear of rumours unless they've sort of had a nudge or they've heard something themselves. And the fact that Ed Dawes has mentioned massive rumours regarding him would suggest that maybe he knows that Derby County are potentially sort of looking at that and sort of going, this is a deal that we're going to try and get done over the course of this transfer window. And we know that Derby County are interested. They have been since the start of the window, and we know that we need midfielders. But for me, the role that Travis plays isn't the type of midfielder that we need. We need a creative 10, in my opinion, a goal-scoring 10. Yes, we've got Andy Vyman, who's sort of like a 9.5, let's say. But it's one of those for me where I don't think Travis is what we're after. But I do think Travis improves the squad, absolutely. And I don't think anybody would doubt that. I think Travis is a very, very good midfielder, and he's shown that across the course of his career. He's shown that at Blackburn Rovers over the course of last season and the seasons prior. Spent time at Ipswich Town, I believe the season they got promoted from the Championship. So it's one of those where there's definitely a lot of opportunity there for Derby County to become a better side. But the problem then stretches to, how much is it going to cost? Is it enough to be worthy of an improvement? Now, obviously, if you go and bring in Travis Johnston and then end up going up through the playoffs or going up automatically, you're in a position where you turn around straight away and go, that was absolutely worth the gamble. But you look at us in our position, and I don't necessarily think we're going to be battling for promotion. Don't get me wrong, I think we might have a little flirt with the playoffs as the season goes on, but I think we're sort of top half, I think, would be our bet. I am going to do a live stream on Wednesday evening, sort of going through everything with Derby County in that regard, to obviously Derby County stepping up to that next level, essentially, of where they could find themselves in the Championship, how the Championship's going to look. We're going to go through all the teams, all the data, all the transfers, and we're going to sort of put predictions together as well. Now, obviously, this is a difficult one to sort of talk about with Lewis Travis, because Blackburn Rovers have lost a ton of players already. There's a lot of talk about Travis on the forum. There's a lot of talk going about over the course of social media as well. But obviously, it just hasn't quite happened. But for me, it's one of those situations where obviously he improves us. He's definitely a very good player, but ultimately we're not in that position where I don't necessarily think we've got the money to absolutely sort of dominate sort of in the transfer window, but we've certainly got the opportunity to make a really good move here in Lewis Travis. But you can obviously let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And I'll catch you in my next video later on.